Right, hello, welcome. This is our very first Twitch stream. It's at least on this channel.
Yeah, so welcome. This is the Seed to Strength MMA podcast, and I'm Jason.
My name is Hannah.
And since this is our first live Twitch stream, we're going to give a little bit of background about ourselves for the first time viewers. If you want extended information, we're going to touch on it. We always end up touching on it usually, like in these podcasts. But if you want extended information and you're a Twitch streamer, you can go onto YouTube and you can watch our first podcast or the other podcasts that we've put up, so you can kind of get a background of who we are and what we have to contribute or to the knowledge base of MMA or just martial arts in general. But it's not just MMA and martial arts. We also talk about fitness and nutrition on this podcast as well. But I'll give a little background about myself first. I have no traditional martial arts training and started training mixed martial arts 6 years ago in 2019. I got into it originally so my son could learn self-defense. He got into it when he was 3 years old, and I got into it at the same time. But I just went ideally for him, because I was like, well, he needs to learn self-defense and all this stuff, and I was like, well, I've always wanted to learn it too, so it'd be a good idea for me to jump into it. And now I coach. I've been coaching since 2021, I believe, was my first time. So the last 4 to almost 5 years was the first time I coached. I know the first time I ever coached at a tournament, I was a coach and a competitor. That was in 2021. I coached my friend Francisco in that tournament, and I think he ended up getting silver and I ended up getting bronze, but that was both of our first tournament. And that's now we have our daughter in it as well, so we're a blended family. So Hannah's daughter is not my biological daughter, but we we have her in it, and Hannah has also been stepping on the mats lately, but she can give a little bit of background of what stepping on the mats meant before, MMA, because you have a background in the traditional martial arts.
Yeah. So no, it is a little bit different. So I took 10 years off of the mat as a whole, and the mat that I stepped onto was a whole lot different than MMA. So I grew up in Taekwondo. So you said Aiden started when he was 3 doing MMA.
We just heard some kind of noise from the living room, but it had to have been a dog.
And the camera's moving because of a dog. Sorry about that. So I started Taekwondo at about 4. My brother started a little bit before me. And then it turned into an entire family thing. My parents started, I think, around the time that I started. And then when me and my brother were about teenage age, we were both getting our first degree black belts, because we'd already been in it for such a long stint of time.
Yeah.
So with that background, and I stayed in that for a good 14 years or so, 13, 14 years. So it was around the time that I was 17, 18 that I stepped back from it. And ironically enough, it was forget you, Mom, I hate you kind of situation, because she didn't want me to be in MMA and I wanted to advance further.
Yeah.
And she was like, heck no, that's not safe. You're going to stay in Taekwondo and this is what you're going to do. And then I was like, well, if that's how it is, then I'm just not going to go until I can take myself to MMA and stuff like that. And then life happened, and I ended up not exposing myself to martial arts again until we started talking again. And then Rhiannon started stepping on the mat more, and then I've started stepping on the mat, and then I find that sparring is one of the more interesting things, because Taekwondo sparring and MMA sparring, or kickboxing, or they're very different.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because when I spar you, I just you have the quick kick. So when we're kickboxing, it is terrifying because like you'll chamber your leg up and you'll just like kind of wait there for me. And
Stop
and one of the
it.
things, sometimes you don't do that. Like you know, but sometimes you do, especially if you want to really get in my head, psychological warfare kind of thing. So kickboxing is like, okay, well, I'll have to use my boxing to try to try to beat your kicks basically, but they're so fast. It's a difficult thing to do, and at least if we're MMA sparring, I can take it to the ground.
Then it's over.
So, and then, you know, one of the things too is that I have, yes, I've been training MMA for the past 6 years, but I only have one MMA fight. You know, and my passion really comes with jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is one of my favorite things to do. Rolling is one of my favorite things to do. Jiu-jitsu competitions are extremely fun. And we've gotten the kids involved. Rhiannon's done a couple of jiu-jitsu competitions. And Aiden has done a handful. He's done as much as I have. Maybe actually... Well, no, it's probably about equivalent. I was going to say maybe more because they have like the kids-only tournaments and stuff. But then I also had a super fight, so it kind of, you know, balances itself out and whatnot. But we got the kids in. They've been doing it. Aiden's been doing it for the past 6 years. Rhiannon has been going consistently for the past year because whenever me and Hannah first started dating, we weren't in the same city. We're 60 miles away from each other. And so Rhiannon could really only come on Saturdays. And now she's, you know, been coming for like consistently for the past year. And maybe even more so like a little bit just a little bit earlier this year, you know.
Yeah.
So we have that, and like I said, like I coach the kids MMA. Sometimes I'll coach the adult MMA too. And just shouting out the dojo, I train at Still Dragon MMA, and that has been my home and my family for the past 6 years. And if anybody watching that is in the Las Cruces area wants very thorough training, I would most definitely recommend Still Dragon MMA. And I have not necessarily gone and trained at other places, but I have gone to seminars at other places and, you know, things like that. And it's just it's unmatched in my humble opinion. You know, there's a lot of people want to spar, a lot of people want to roll, and that's all they want to do. But a lot of people don't want to do the hard work. And I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying that sparring and rolling, like live sparring, live rolling, that is what everyone's bread and butter. That's what everybody wants to do. But when it comes to doing but when it comes to doing the jump ropes and the push-ups and the sit-ups and the sprints and the animal drills and stuff like that, that's where people tend to kind of shy away, you know, a little bit. And Still Dragon is a very highly endurance-based type of training. So we have very good cardio. We have very good endurance. We're able to go, you know, these 8 or 10 minute jiu-jitsu matches without really getting tired, you know, at all.
Yeah.
So it is just shouting that out. It is a really good school, and I'm not just saying that because I coach there, and I'm saying that from 6 years of experience. If it was a school, you know, if you're paying to go to train and you're not getting the kind of training that you want, you know, then you can always just go to another school. And if that were the case, then I would have just gone to another school, you know.
It's like that with personal training too.
Yeah.
It's like you will sometimes find personal trainers that aren't your speed. Like they just don't understand you, and it's okay. It's okay to feel it out. And then there's personal trainers that will say some of the most abhorrent things, like as far as protocols go. There was one person, I check out a lot of comments in like the bodybuilding competition pages that I still follow. And one girl was saying that she had ditched her coach because he was suggesting that she basically eat only eggs. It was like pretty much like 99% of her diet was going to be eggs. 15 weeks out from a competition. 15. 700 calories a day.
On eggs alone?
Pretty much. Practically, like,
Oh, that's
eggs
like,
only 700 calories a day. That's it. Can you imagine the deficit? Like,
yeah, that seems not wise in my opinion. I don't know anything about bodybuilding, but 700 calories a day
15 weeks out, bro.
is nuts.
You'd have
Yeah.
to know. You'd have to know, like, this girl's measurements and stuff like that. But, excuse me, for somebody like my height or similar to my height, I'm about 5'7".
Mhm.
So, like, let's just say that this chick is like 5'5", maybe, and maybe she's like 125 pounds before a full cut.
Mhm.
That's still insanely low. Like, 700 calories is still insanely low. Like,
Yeah.
my maintenance calories with my amount of muscle mass, like, with the activity that I do, is about 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
So, like, anybody that has muscle mass is going to need some kind of maintenance calorie. And when you're bodybuilding, you by nature have to have muscle mass on you. So
Yeah,
it's a little ridiculous.
it's nuts, and you just gotta be, I guess, careful of the people that you allow to be like. It's always a good idea to kind of like double check. Like, yeah, you should be able to trust your trainer and stuff like that, but you also want to get someone that is going to keep up with the evolution of whatever it is that you're doing. So, jujitsu nowadays is not the same as jujitsu, like for instance, back in like the 90s. There's so many, actually back in the day, like whenever, if you would go for like leg attacks are huge now. You're getting heel hooks and ankle locks and knee bars and all kinds of like, fun stuff to do to people, not to be done to you, but like those are fun things to do. But people would actually, like, they used to boo the people that would try to do lower body attacks, like back in the day. It was stigmatized, and now it's like that's what it is. That's a lot of leg attacks,
Yeah.
like a lot of leg attacks. And as a matter of fact, like the UFC Brazilian Jiu Jitsu champion is like a leg attack master. And so like you got to keep up with the people, or I don't know. I guess it just depends on what you're looking for. But for me, it's like, well, I want someone that's going to keep up with the evolution of the sport, because yes, the basics still win. Yes, it's going to be really hard to, pull off some kind of like super advanced move, especially in a competition. So even if you watch high level competitions, it's like, okay, black belt versus black belt, someone gets triangled or guillotined or arm barred, or just one of like the very basic moves. And yes, I understand that, but we also have to keep up to speed with the evolution of the sport. And arm bars aren't just arm bars anymore, or like, they are, but there's so many different twists and turns and manipulations that you can do just from like one single position, that you have to kind of at least be aware of all. You might not be able to pull it off in a jiu-jitsu competition, but you might be able to, let's say someone goes for like a flying triangle choke. You're going to have to understand that that is a thing to begin with, and you're going to have to understand how to feel for it, so you can know how to properly respond to it as well. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, talking about personal training though, so since we since maybe the people on Twitch don't have a background on you, and I know this is one of the things that we said we wanted to talk about this time, we can start with it.
Yeah.
How did you get into personal training?
So I was unhealthy for a long stint of time. Like, I was very chronically ill. And I wasn't getting any answers from doctors of any kind, really. So that led me to, like, okay, well, I'm going to find the answers for myself then. And so I decided to just get a lot of information. I started doing weightlifting because that was something that was recommended in some of my research.
Okay.
So I started doing weightlifting, and then I was like, whoa, I really like this. I really liked how quickly my body was responding to it. It ended up being something that, like, I was gaining muscle really fast, and I was starting to feel better almost instantly. So I was like, okay, resistance training, there's something here. And I wanted to know more. Like, I didn't want surface level. I wanted to know the mechanics. I wanted to know why it was working for me. I wanted to know if it was working for other people in the same way. And then I wanted to be able to relay that information. I was like, okay, well, maybe I can make more of a career out of this. So that's when I started looking into NASM.
And NASM, for those that don't know, is the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Yeah.
And that is one of the two higher ranking certifications that you can get, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so there's two things that you would look for if you're looking for personal training, and a personal trainer. You don't have to have these certifications to be a personal trainer, right?
It depends on the state. So
Oh, really? Okay.
in our state, you technically don't have to be certified to be a personal trainer. So in that way, like right now,
So in New Mexico, for those that might not know where we're at.
so we're in New Mexico. So in New Mexico and a lot of other states, honestly, I think it's like most states, you don't have to be certified to be a personal trainer. But if you want to get a job, if you want to be taken seriously as a personal trainer and you want a job as one, it's just a good idea to get the certification.
Okay.
But I mean, I've seen cases where people have done really well at personal training without being certified. But these are people that have grown up in fitness. They understand this stuff to a T. But what the National Academy of Sports Medicine does when you're doing their program instead of just relying on what you've learned, you're able to translate what's happening in your body more scientifically. You're able to visualize what's happening. You're understanding which muscle groups are working together and separately. And then it also teaches you how to talk to people. So it's not just the science. Like the science has gotten way more complex with NASM than it used to be, which is really cool.
So it's a social science. There's a social science aspect of it too.
There definitely is. There's like a whole explanation on the stages it takes for someone to be fully interested in committing themselves to a lifestyle change.
And that makes sense because, whenever you're a personal trainer, you're going to have a multitude of different types of people with different types of backgrounds. You're going to have maybe someone, like you've trained me, but you didn't train me from scratch. You trained me from scratch when it came to strength training because I had never really been exposed to it like too much before. Yeah, I went to the gym with my friends a couple times, but like the friend that I went with was a bodybuilder, and he was doing exercises. I just followed along basically, and he was doing exercises that were geared towards bodybuilding, which isn't something that I am interested in. You know, particularly I like having lean muscle mass, but I had started from. I had a pretty good base because I had already been doing MMA, for a while.
Yeah.
And so whenever you trained me, it's going to be a lot different than if you're training someone that's trying to maybe lose weight, or maybe someone that is trying to go from become a bodybuilder, but maybe, they're super petite and they're trying to put on muscle mass, or they're overweight and they're trying to burn fat and build muscle,
Yeah,
so it's going to be different.
Everybody has a different goal and everybody has different anatomy.
Yeah.
And so sometimes even people with the same goal, you're going to teach them how to reach it differently. There's not really a one size fits all. It depends heavily on a person's environment and their background.
Well, and it's the same as coaching too, because or even teaching, because I've taught before. I've taught plant science classes in college, and I've done my teaching assistantships and stuff like that, and you come to realize that there are many different types of learners. There's the visual learners, there's the hands-on learners, there's the auditory learners. There's people that have to kind of fidget, in order to pay attention.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. There's different kinds of learners, and the trick is to try to reach all of them, and it's a difficult thing to do because, like you said, it's not a one size fits all. And I've learned that from coaching myself, as coaching myself. I'm not like coaching myself, but I've learned a lot from coaching. And one of the things is that we're we're dealing with different kids, with different levels of ability and different ages, so they're going to understand things differently, right? So you have, let's say, the belt, the way that the belts work in our dojo, Steel Dragon, is you start with the white belt, you end with the black belt, which is like, you're normal. But then there's all these belt colors in between that our sensei has created his own system of these different belt colors. And so you might have someone that's like an orange belt, which is the third belt up. And then you might have someone else that's an orange belt that is that's right next to them, but maybe this orange belt over here is like 7 years old, and this orange belt over here is like 13. So they're going to understand, and they're going to have so many different things, there's so many different variables about them, so they're going to understand different things on a different level. Their body mechanics are going to be different. Maybe you have like a really tall 13-year-old and a really short 7-year-old, or a really tall 7-year-old and a really short 13-year-old. And then this person doesn't know how to really control their body yet, and this person kind of does. And this person really picks up on things really quickly, and this person needs them broken down a little bit more. So you end up learning that these different kids have these different levels of ability to learn and retain information. Some kids, you show them the move like a few times, and they pretty much get it right away. And so basically one of the things that I do, because sometimes most of the time I just get like the upper belt kids, and I can kind of tease that out and just show them the moves with like a little bit more detail. Yeah. Sometimes I get the white belts and the yellow belts, which are the first two belts, and maybe even some of the newer orange belts. And I have to show them more simply. I have to show them moves that are broken down step by step, and try to keep it to maybe 3 or 4 steps, so it's easy for their brain to retain that information. And then if you get a mixture of people, then I try to do basic moves. Let's say I have white belts all the way up through blue belts or green belts, which are 2 belts before black. Let's just say I have a mixture of those kids. Then I'll go with something super simple that they learn from the very beginning. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about double leg takedowns, and then I'll be like, for the white belts, I want you to just, change your level, grab the leg, drive forward, 3 steps. That's it. If you can't get them down, maybe trip them. Throw a trip in there. That's it. That's okay. And then for the other ones, it's like, okay, well, no, I want you guys to level change, drop this, do the penetration step, cut the corner, and take them down this way. And then I can go and I can fix little small details. Like when the white belts are doing it, if they get the person to the ground, I'm like, okay, cool, good job. Because I don't want to overload them with information.
Yeah.
But then the other ones, it's just like, okay, well, the reason why you're not able to get them to the ground is because, like, your grip is off. Like you have to use this grip instead of that grip, or maybe like you're not cutting the corner correctly, or maybe you're not doing the penetration step correctly, or whatever it is. Little tiny details that make things better. It's a game of inches, you know, and that just so it relates to the personal training and just having to kind of develop a curriculum for each individual person based off of their goals and
Their starting point.
starting point.
Because their starting point, like you
Body
were saying,
composition.
you were saying that your starting point was really good, just brand new to strength training. So it's like you already had endurance. Like, not just in a way that your cardiorespiratory fitness was good from the beginning, because that's really good. Like, you have really good cardio, but the muscular endurance. So your muscles are able to handle a lot more without getting fatigued, which is why you have a hard time resting between sets.
Yeah,
It's just like we have to stick heavier and heavier weight on you to cause that fatigue reaction so that you can slow down in between, and we shift. So like plans are always shifting, every 4 to 6 weeks we switch it up into something new. But the long-term goal is gaining strength.
Yeah.
That's just backing up the jiu-jitsu. So like you have that very specific goal, and like someone else might come in with your physique and they might have a different goal. They might be like, okay, well, at this point, like I kind of want to work on myself because like I want to look good. I want bigger, puffier muscles. So for anybody that doesn't know, the term for that would be hypertrophy. And that's when you're increasing the muscular size while simultaneously you're creating strength, but not at the same rate as if you were to tackle strength as a main goal.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then the goals also shift based off of, well, at least for me and anybody else that you might be training to be an athlete. It's like, well, when competition season is coming up, then the goals shift. The goal,
absolutely.
If I'm doing a weight cut or something like that, then okay, the goal doesn't become about strength anymore. It becomes about getting shredded fast with like maintaining the muscle without just completely depleting my body of nutrients.
Yeah. And I think that we've really fine-tuned that process. And it was a good combination of the experience that you've had cutting weight with the experience that I've had with training bodybuilders in cutting weight.
Yeah.
And that's just specifically because the person that I shadowed, my mentor, was very adamant about people not losing strength when they gained hypertrophy.
Yeah.
And so so his method was 8x8s, which is what we put you on. And those make you so strong, but they shred you. It gives you a very like lean profile.
Yeah, and for those that are new, the last competition I had a super fight on November 8th, so a month ago, actually, tomorrow. I cut, and then I was supposed to have a super fight the weekend before that too, but I ended up getting canceled. And then I did a American Grappling Federation tournament the weekend before that, so I was doing back to back to back. So since the beginning of October, I was on this cut because I cut 15 pounds, cut from 160 to 145 for AGF, and then I competed in the super fight at 145 as well.
That was about a month, right?
Yeah, it was
a month that you cut 15.
Yeah, so I started on October 1st, and I competed. My first competition I had to weigh in at 145 was October 25th, so about 24 days.
Which your body responds to that really well, but as a trainer,
might not. Yeah.
Yeah, as a trainer, I wouldn't immediately promise somebody that. Fighters are different because your bodies are more reactive. Your bodies are way more reactive to change because you're constantly using your bodies. So it's different for somebody that is asking me questions like, I have an event coming up, I have a party, I have a wedding, I have a vacation.
Yeah,
It's
well,
in 3
good.
months. Help me lose 60 pounds.
See, and here's the thing too, that like for the people, there is no easy way, bro. Like I know everyone, or not everyone, but like a lot of people are like, well, I'm gonna look up 6 second abs on YouTube, or I'm gonna try to get real buff, this and that, and it doesn't lie, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing about jujitsu too, is like the mats do not lie, and my sensei was saying this the other day, maybe, no, yeah, it wasn't Saturday, I think it was Thursday, but he was saying it. He was just like, dude, the mats do not lie. Like the work that you put in is going to like reflect on how you do on the mats. Because if you're not putting the work in and then you go, and like, yeah, of course there's like prodigies and all that stuff, but there is that cliche saying, but I highly agree with it, is that, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And 99% of the time that's true. You do have your special occasions that are just like, well, I'm just going to not show up, and then, I'll show up like once a month, and then I'll still be good. It doesn't
It's like,
happen a lot,
no,
though.
make yourself so good that you're convinced that you're a prodigy.
Yeah, and but for the other 99% of people, like that only comes through hard work, and hard work also includes discipline, and discipline includes controlling what you put into your body, both in the kitchen and outside of it, like, and what I mean by outside of it is, you don't want to smoke cigarettes, you don't want to like do anything that's going to, you are still putting stuff inside your body, but that's outside of the kitchen. But you want to be able to put things into your body that are actually going to help you. And again, that might be an overload of information as well, because there's a whole you go into like these like vitamin and mineral aisles in like the store, and there's so many different supplements. It's like, figure out what you need, figure out what works for you, and then if you don't need it, then ditch it. So for me personally, I use collagen peptides, and I use collagen peptides because I deal with, I'm in jiu-jitsu, so I deal with all kinds of joint issues and things like that, and you want collagen production in order for repair of joints.
Which, that's something I would recommend to almost everybody, especially people that have any kind of connective tissue disorder.
Unless you have a sensitivity to it, of course.
Unless, yeah, I'm one of those people. I can't do it. I end up getting psoriasis, but I have an autoimmune condition. I have rheumatoid arthritis.
And again, that just, it's again one of those things where it's like, okay, well, that it doesn't work for you, but only for that reason.
So, and that's one of the things about being a trainer and a coach, is like, this doesn't work for me, so I'm gonna just assume it doesn't work for anybody.
Well,
so then I just stop recommending this really amazing supplement just because it didn't work on me.
See, and it's kind of the same thing. So, like, if our kids have some kind of issue, some kind of thing that they're dealing with in life, right? We'll go and talk to them. And let's say they're depressed about something, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm going to tell you what I do when I'm depressed. Maybe it doesn't work for you, but it works for me. And the only thing that I can tell you is what works for me based off of my experience, the only advice that I can give you, and I would suggest trying it out. And if it doesn't work for you, then we'll have to come up with something else, that does work.
Yeah, brainstorm.
Yeah. So it's like collagen for that reason. I do creatine monohydrate because the muscle, like it pulls water into the muscles, and when you have a muscular frame, you want to feed your muscles what they need, right? And your body does create creatine
on its own,
but it also creates collagen on its own, and sometimes that's why it's called a supplement, because you're just supplementing. But ideally, I mean, you want to get the stuff from food. You don't want to just take the supplement. It's like the same as people that just drink protein shakes to get their protein, but they don't eat actual protein in any other meal. It's like,
Well,
well, that's not, the protein is there to be a supplementation, like the protein powders and stuff, but you should be eating protein, whether you're a vegetarian or a vegan or whatever, like
protein to some degree is going to be pretty important.
yeah, you still need protein, and if you are a vegetarian, you have to pair your beans with a grain, in order to get it. Or there's the foods that we've talked about before that have the full spectrum of amino acids, the 9 essential amino acids your body can't make on its own, like quinoa and amaranth and things like that as well. So you just have to find what works for you, and then even myself, because I take electrolyte pills as well, and because when you sweat, you're losing water, but you're also losing electrolytes. So people will replenish water, after they sweat. They'll run, and they'll come back, and they'll chug water and stuff. But I don't know if the knowledge is as widespread that you also have to replenish those electrolytes as well.
Well, and there's also the fact I think that vitamins create a sense of false security in people. So it's like you feel like
I can eat whatever I want because
I took a vitamin,
yeah.
so I don't need to eat as many fruits and vegetables because, like, oh, I'm covered. I take vitamins. Those aren't necessarily going to be super bioavailable, especially depending on which brands you buy. But they are meant to be supplementation, not replacement. Your body benefits off of so much more than just the amount of micronutrients that you could get from a vitamin.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in its most bioavailable form, but you're missing out on fiber and water content and how
Exactly.
it interacts with other vitamins and minerals in the foods that you eat. Like, the most bioavailable form of any vitamin or mineral is going to be in its food source.
And you can get, like, let's say you go and you get vitamin C tablets. What are you getting? You're getting vitamin C tablets. You're getting vitamin C. That's all you're getting. Now, when you eat an orange, you're getting the vitamin C, you're getting the beta carotenes, you're getting, like, all these other, like, polyphenols and all this other, like, really incredibly powerful stuff that is not, because they're just isolating one portion of that orange or green onions or whatever else is high in vitamin C. They're just isolating that vitamin C on its own, but you're not, like you said, you're not getting the other vitamins and minerals plus the other stuff that you might not even know about that is like helping. You can look up like the known content of the known like chemical content of maybe like a strawberry, and you can search each one of those individual chemicals, and you can figure out what exactly those things are doing for your body. And I know chemical is a scary word, but it shouldn't be.
Everything is a chemical.
Literally everything. We're chemicals. Water is a chemical. So, like, when I say chemicals, I'm not talking about toxic chemicals, obviously. Like, I'm drinking pesticides or whatever. But, yeah, so, like, you are getting whatever is in that food that you're eating more so than you're getting just whatever they decided to isolate and put into this easy to chew, tablet or whatever.
Which, there's specific vitamins that are made synthetic as well.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, not absorbed nearly as well. So, like, if you have the MTHFR mutation, you cannot process the folic acid, which is the synthetic version of folate. So you have to take
The B
something called
vitamin.
you have to take something called methylated folate in combination with methylated B12.
Yeah.
And then it helps in the complex to just take a full array of those methylated B vitamins. But and it's common knowledge, or it's not common knowledge, that folic acid isn't something that's digested very well in a lot of people, because that mutation is present in something like 40 to 50% of the population. It's an insane amount of people that don't know that they have this to some degree.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are always wondering, like, oh, well, where are my stomach problems coming from? Where is this kind of pain coming from? Why am I feeling sluggish? I've tried going keto, I've tried going on this diet. That is something to look at, is are you eating foods that have folic acid in them? And you can also get tests done through like 23andMe and sequencing to figure out how your genetics interact with certain things like that.
Well, and so I know there's not like a one size fits all, but I would like to put a disclaimer out there that the only one size fits all advice that you can give to anybody is eat whole foods.
Absolutely.
And that might mean something different for, different people. Like potatoes are whole foods. I can eat potatoes.
There is so much potato slander, and it is so dumb. Because
the same with
so
eggs.
Healthy. They're so healthy. Yeah, they're carbs.
Eggs too.
And see, I can't eat potatoes right now, or I probably won't ever be able to eat potatoes again.
Yeah.
Is I have to be on a therapeutic ketogenic style diet.
Yeah.
So I can't, and this goes down to like being a trainer that knows how to be dynamic with people. It's just like I can't just put people on exactly what I'm doing because that's what's healthy for me. It's like I can't really eat too many carbs, but I would never recommend carb restricting somebody that probably doesn't need it.
Yeah, well, and then that's a topic in and of itself too, because it's one of those things where it's like, well, your body can do just fine with no carbohydrates.
It can, with absolutely minimal carbohydrates.
And of course you're still getting carbohydrate, because like you can't really say no carbohydrates, I guess, because you're still getting carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables. You know, you're still getting like so you can't really say no, but it's like one of those things. You have these macronutrients, carbs being one of them, but your body really only needs protein and healthy fats. But regardless, like your ketogenic diet is still whole foods based. It's not
Absolutely.
buying prepackaged keto friendly products.
No.
So even the whole foods one size fits all still goes toward whatever diet that you're doing.
So, I mean, in that case, to really simplify it, everybody should be eating whole foods.
Well, yeah, that's
like
what I'm
not the grocery store, but like whole foods. Like, get non-antibiotic, grass-fed type meats and stuff like that if you can. Eat as clean as possible. But the differences that people are going to have in their diets are going to be based on macro percentages. And that means what percentage of carbohydrates are you eating every day, proteins, and fats. Those are your 3 macronutrients. And those are important percentages to watch out for if you've hit a plateau in your health and you can't figure out what it is.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's again, there's not like a one size fits all, and you have to just do what works for you and just try different things out. One of the easier ways, at least in theory, maybe not in practice, to do something like that. And I say maybe not in practice because there's a mental component to it too, is going on an elimination diet. When it's like, okay, I found out that like when I was eating carrots and or apples, I was getting like severe stomach cramps. And I was just like, okay, well, I recognize the pattern that like I'm only getting these severe stomach cramps whenever I'm eating carrots or apples. So I stopped eating carrots and apples like 3 days ago and haven't had a stomach cramp since. Everything's been fine. I was taking, like I said earlier, I take electrolyte tablets, and I was also taking magnesium glycinate on top of that, which my magnesium glycinate was in the electrolyte tablets, but it's not one of those things that you can overdose on, to the point where it's dangerous, but like you can overdose on it to the point where your body just doesn't respond the way that you want it to respond anymore. And magnesium glycinate is one of those things that's like, it's really good to help you sleep and help you get a good, nice rest, deep sleep, all that stuff. But it was giving me bad dreams. Like I was having weird dreams and very vivid, very lucid, crazy dreams, and I was like, the only thing that I can think of is the magnesium glycinate, because that's what I'm taking before bed. All the other stuff that I take, all the other supplements and stuff, I usually take in the morning or throughout the day. I take a fish oil with every meal. I take a vitamin D3. Those seem to do good things for me. And there's so I just eliminated the things that didn't work for me. And since this is an MMA podcast, like I will bring up the idea of Bruce Lee and the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, which is basically like you should learn everything from a multitude. Well, I mean, not everything. You're never gonna know everything, but like you should learn as much as you can from a multitude of different martial arts, and you should keep what works for you and ditch what doesn't work for you. Maybe like we talked about tornado kicks, and tornado kicks are really fun to practice and they're really cool to know how to do, but if you're, let's say, training for a fight and you don't think that the tornado kick is one of your best weapons to like win the fight, you might want to ditch it for that training camp. You might want to. You don't have to, because it's still fun to practice, and like it does get you in tune with your body and movement and how it moves. And there's, besides just the kick, it trains you. It trains your body on how to do a bunch of different things. It trains the speed. It trains the quickness of the spin. It trains all kinds of different things that are directly related to the kick, but maybe indirectly related to the kick at the same time.
Oh yeah, and it's psychological too. So like, let's say you don't necessarily need to do that for your fight camp because it's not going to be a focus. You're not planning on using it in the actual fight, but when you're in a fight camp, you're depriving yourself of so much. Like you're restricting your food, you're working twice as hard. So like you've mentioned to me before that when you go to the gym, it's not your zone, not in the same way that jiu-jitsu is. You understand.
It's starting to become that way though.
It's starting to, you're getting there. Good.
I love it. I look forward to going to the gym. I think it's great.
But it was the bag work at the end was like the little treat that you would give yourself, because there's an awkward phase when you begin weightlifting where it's just like anything that you start, it doesn't feel the same as the exercise that you usually do.
Yeah.
You're kind of itching to get back to just like, I want to do some bag work. I want to do my thing. So it was a motivating factor for you, because it was like, okay, well, I get to get on the bags and maybe do some mitt work and stuff like that after I go through all this like strength training that I don't necessarily love as much.
Yeah.
So it's like the tornado kick is the same concept. Like maybe that is the way that you find more joy in it, when a lot of joy is being kind of ripped away from it.
Yeah, and it is true too, because like you have fun things that you like to try. You'd never like do them in competition, of course, and like unless you find yourself in the position to be able to do it. When we were talking about jiu-jitsu before, it's like, okay, well, if I'm doing a jiu-jitsu competition, I'm most likely going to win. If I'm going to win a match, it's most likely going to be with a triangle or an armbar or something that's like very, basic. It's the basics. Basics win fights. You knock someone out with a lead hook, instead of trying to do some kind of weird fancy stuff that it keeps them guessing. There's pros and cons to everything, and I'm not knocking the fancy stuff at all. It is fun to train, and it is fun to when you're throwing 10,000 roundhouse kicks, you're just like, okay, I want something else.
I'm ready. So this is a coaching mentality too, because it's like we understand, both of us, that feeling. It's just like, honestly, there are certain things at the gym that I don't really like to do that much, but are just like super important exercises. Like, does anybody actually enjoy doing split squats? I can't think of a single person that actually enjoys doing Bulgarian split squats, but it is one of the best methods for building multiple muscle groups
Well, and not only that,
and balance.
it's a good way to build discipline as well, because if you really don't want to do something, it's easy to just be like, well, I have autonomy and I'm in charge of my own self, and I can just say I'm not doing that today, and then you could just leave. I mean, with that same argument, you could just not show up to the gym at all. But if it's something that you like, it's the things, and I think Mike Tyson has a quote where it's just all, you got to do the things that you hate, but do them like you love them. And it's like, well, yeah, that's how you're going to build the discipline, you know? People don't like to wake up early. Well, I don't know, maybe some people do, but like, people don't like to wake up early and get after it. You got to wake up early, you know, and you got to get after it. You can't sleep until 2 in the afternoon and expect to have like a productive life, really.
Unless you are a night person and you're staying up late being productive into the night hours, because like a true,
Or you work a graveyard or something, you know?
yeah, because anthropologically speaking, is that how you would say that? I feel like that's how you'd say
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Anthropologically.
meaning human, right? The
Yeah.
study of humans is anthropology. The
Yeah.
study of cultures.
Yeah, peoples. All peoples. That's a word, I promise.
No, I know it is.
Okay. So, anthropologically speaking,
No, I swear.
I
No,
swear
look it
that
up.
one's a word
Look it
too.
up. No, I know.
It's okay. Anyway, anthropologically speaking, people served different purposes in protecting and serving a community. So you would have people that needed to be up during the day, first thing in the morning, going on hunts, gathering food, getting the fire going.
Yeah.
So there would have to be early risers, naturally. And then to protect your community or your village from predators, you would have to have people that were staying up all night and protecting you. So like there are two different kinds of people, and that's still present today. We call them night owls and early birds.
Yeah.
So I know of like plenty of people, and this is just from working at a gym. I know of plenty of people that would come in the middle of the night to go to the gym because that's just when they're most
That's true.
awake. You know, it's
Yeah.
like that's when they have the time to get it done. But you have a lot of people that use that excuse. It's just like, I can't get up early, I'm a night owl. Well, that means that your day just goes into the nighttime. So why not get your workout in the evening? It becomes like this built-in excuse to not work on themselves. It's just like, oh well, I'm not an early riser.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of science behind, like, and we don't have time to get into it, and I admittedly don't know enough to get into it myself, but maybe you do. There's all kinds of science behind when is the optimal time to actually work out. Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the evening time?
Ooh, okay.
Maybe we do got time. I don't know if you can get that in the next 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute.
Well, I mean, part of our live was our loading screen because we had a dog situation.
That's right. Okay.
So I feel like we can go a little bit over our hour.
Let's hear it.
Okay, what was the question again?
Okay. So there's.
Oh wait, no, I remember.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Because I'm interested because I do my workouts at night. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, because I go to the dojo. Saturday I do my workout in the morning from 10 to noon, so like late morning. And then on Wednesdays and Fridays, I'll go to the gym around like 11:30. So it's kind of like early afternoonish, like late, super late morning, kind of early afternoonish. And then days like today, I did a little workout. I did some yoga in the morning, and then I hit the bag for a little bit. And that was more kind of like probably like 10:30 or so, like late morning. So yeah, so when scientifically speaking, and I know it might not be a one size fits all.
I mean, it definitely isn't. But if we're looking at the rules and like the timing, the first thing that we would look at is people's hormones.
Okay.
So for men, you're a whole lot easier to gauge. Right?
Okay, well, is that good?
It's good for you.
Okay. Well,
It's good for men. You guys are predictable. You know, well,
I've only ever been a man, so I'm cool.
as far as you know.
As well as, yeah. Well,
You never know about past lives and whatnot.
yeah, I don't know. And then, they could have, like, photoshopped my baby pictures. I wonder they would.
This is an episode of Mari now. Jerry Springer. So we'd have to talk about hormones. So for men, your hormonal cycle works on a 24-hour basis, right? And women's work on a 28 to 32 day basis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so your hormonal cycle happens within one singular day and it resets every day because the only thing that we're really watching is when your testosterone climbs and when it falls. So you notice like right after lunch when you start getting like sleepy and you have a harder time with like your energy, this is when most dudes are taking naps, honestly.
I haven't, that hasn't happened to me in a while, to be honest with you.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know what changed.
That's good. Do you still notice, do you like slow down at all though? Maybe
No.
like even your mentality, do you end up going from more of an excited state to a calm state as you hit the afternoon?
I guess I would have to pay attention more, but I don't feel like I do, and maybe potentially that's because I try to go at least like after I eat lunch or whatever. I try to go at least on a little walk.
In like the energy level tank.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
So
and
we'll
I'm
have
not,
to-
I'm not blasting my body with carbs. So if I were to go across the street to a place like Santorini and get like pita bread and rice and beans
Just
and like
carb load at lunch.
just a mass amount of carbs, like then yeah, like the refined carbs, then yes, I would tend to get sleepier. Like if I have a sandwich or something, like it's gonna be.
if it's more carb based, there's gonna be more of a crash.
But I've
So
been
there
eating
has-
salads and stuff, so it's better.
There has to be a hormone signaling between insulin and testosterone then too, because insulin is involved in so many things. So I'll have to look into the logistics of that further.
And carbs would
But-
spike your insulin, wouldn't it? Or no? Cause
Yeah, absolutely. So
Because your body's using it as a fuel source.
So as you're ingesting carbs, your body is releasing insulin to
Okay.
match the glucose that's incoming. So they fit together like little puzzle pieces.
Okay. Okay.
So and insulin is one of those things that signals hormones. So I'd have to look at the exact relation between testosterone and insulin because I don't know the links on that one as well as I do like estrogen.
Yeah.
So but as a general rule of thumb, for men, your energy is going to be highest when your testosterone peaks. So it starts to rise from like the morning time into the early afternoon, and then you'll hit a little bit of a dip, but it's not extreme. So it's just a little bit of a rise and fall to my understanding. So
Okay.
I'm not as well versed on like the male hormonal levels, but I do know it's a little simpler than how women's work. So in your case, if you're looking for the best possible window to work out, it's going to be when your testosterone is highest.
So in the morning.
So it'd probably be in the morning. But the other factors of that are like your sleep quality and are you a morning person or did
Well-
you spend all night, you know?
And do you think that... So I never really clarified, I guess, what the best even means. You know, so it's like, well, is it...
It's like when is your strength going to be the best? When is your...
Yeah, when is it the best for muscle growth? When is it the best for this? When is it the best for that? So,
across the board, testosterone at its highest peak would be the time. So like actually when you're going to the gym is usually like late morning, right?
yeah.
So that's probably the absolute best time that you could be going.
So across the board, in terms of physicality, right, and your body's physiology, but would you
Mood and motivation too.
okay, mood and motivation, but what about discipline? So would you say that, like, because if it's because sometimes it's just okay, well, let's say for instance my testosterone is down on like a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday when I'm going to the dojo in the evening time, and sometimes in my mind I'm just like, man, I just want to go home, you know, but I don't, and I force myself to go. So do you think in that respect, because discipline and motivation are different, as we've talked about before in this podcast. So, like mood, yes. Well, I don't know. Even with mood, I tend to be in a better mood post dojo sessions than I do post gym sessions.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm in a
It's
bad mood after the gym. I'm just saying that that's the.
There's a higher release of endorphins from the amount of effort put in at the dojo.
Well,
And I'm saying
and
this based on experience because I've taken classes with you guys. The
yeah,
amount of endurance in combination with how much you're using your muscles, the endorphin rush that I get after the dojo is a lot stronger than the one that I get after a gym workout.
we'll see. And I guess that's not really fair for me to say either because it depends on how I perform at the dojo. Because I can lift weights and it's fine. You know, I can lift weights and I can perform. I don't generally have like a bad gym day. I either lift the weights or I lift more weights than I could like more weight than I could last week. You know, I don't generally have like a bad gym day. At the dojo though, since it's a contact sport, it's like okay, let's say we're sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. Let's say we're doing jujitsu and I just been getting beat up all night long, or we're sparring and I'm just getting beat up all night long, then I'm not going to be in as good of a mood as if I come home and or like after a dojo session and I've gotten like I was the one that was doing really good sparring or I was the one doing really good grappling or even let's say this if I'm sparring and generally like I'm afraid to get hit. So I'm just like, and then I have all this stuff in my mind where I'm just like, man, you coward, like, why didn't you just go in there and take some hits, blah, blah, blah. But then I'll have those sparring days where I go in and I might still be getting hit, but I'm taking the hits and I'm hitting back and I'm doing good. I might not be winning the sparring match, or whatever, and I know that's not what it's about anyway, but let's just say for sake of the argument, like, I'm not winning the sparring match anyway, but I go in and I perform really well. Then I feel really good. I'll
Yeah.
always feel good after the gym because I always perform well in the gym, but I'm not scared to get hit in the gym. I'm not scared of failure in the gym.
So, and this is 100% a perspective thing because I can't tell you how many people show up to the gym and 9 times out of 10 they have a really great time. And then for whatever reason, whether it be improper nutrition because they had a wild weekend and maybe they didn't sleep or maybe they had a couple of beers or a couple more than they usually do and their performance is just blown, because like we're talking people that are really moving super heavy weight and we're building you up to this point. We haven't quite reached the point where you're you're squatting in the 300s or benching in the 200s quite yet.
Yeah.
So you might find that when you get to the heavier weights that you might end up having bad days where just like the weight doesn't seem to be moving for you.
Yeah.
So it's just like there definitely are days in that sense. And this is when I bring up, it's like we're talking about the hormonal levels. You're asking about the best times to work out. Oh yeah, you were saying discipline wise. And that's why I think personally the morning is the best time to work out. Just for most people that struggle with motivation and discipline, because you can get it over with. You can say, okay, once I get through this, the rest of the day is cake, the rest of the day is easy. You have to find a way to really get motivated and disciplined when it comes to being forced to do it in the evening. Like you might not have a choice. You might have a busy life. Someone might have a full-time job and the only time that they can work out is right after work, and they can't work within the windows that work for them. But for women, this might be our advantage, because like maybe men might have a more difficult time in the evening with those energy levels. The endorphins help with that. It picks it up.
Okay.
It ends. You guys end up being fine. You know, it doesn't destroy your chances of getting gains or your chances of performing really well. Like most martial arts classes are going to be in the evening.
Yeah.
They're going to be after people go to work. For women, when it comes to working out, going to the gym, stuff like that, we have way different cycles of energy. So women start, like the very first day of a woman's cycle is technically her period.
Mm-hmm.
So the week of menstruation, however many days it may be for a woman, is the lowest energy point in time in the entire cycle. And that's the point in time when you get muscular fatigue. So when you move on, you go into the follicular phase again, which is where your body gets ready to release an egg. And then you go into ovulation. This is when hormones change again. So every phase comes with a hormonal change.
Mm-hmm.
So this changes again, and then you end up with a spike in energy. So around ovulation for a woman, that is when she is doing the heaviest lifting. That's usually when the mood is lightened. And this isn't the same for everybody. If somebody has like PCOS, polycystic ovarian disease, it's not the same way. Like ovulation actually really sucks.
Well, you have a lot of cysts on your ovaries, right? Is
and
that what
it
that means?
yeah. So you end up getting cysts on your ovaries, but there's like a whole host of other symptoms that it comes with, hormonally speaking, and it's just
I can imagine.
It's one of the hardest hormonal disorders to work with,
Yeah.
because like people with PCOS end up holding on to weight no matter what they do. So there's specific diets that work for some people, specific exercise styles. So even what I'm talking about here with the way that women's hormones work, it's not a one size fits all. A lot of this stuff like even changes for me as somebody with like adenomyosis or somebody with endometriosis.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get past ovulation, so that's your window of like most, it's like the heaviest strength training that you can do.
Okay.
And then from that point, you go into the luteal phase, which is like one of the longer phases. And it's like a slow decline. So a woman's mood will start to change. She starts to get grumpier. She starts to get hungrier. She starts to get hangry, dude. In my case, like, I don't necessarily feel like I get angry. Like
Maybe irritable.
mildly irritable is one thing, but like I honestly am more prone to being sad. I will cry over absolutely nothing. It's awful. So
Yeah,
like I'm
hormones
just
are weird, man.
it's like the silliest things will make me sad.
Right.
But so when I started realizing that it's probably not a smart idea to train the same throughout every single phase of that cycle, I started training women more, I guess, on an experimental basis. But my friend Ellen has had a lot of success. So I started training her under this method that you follow your cycle exactly. And during these 2 weeks, you do something completely different than this week and then this week. It's like I do an offloading program, essentially, where it's just the follicular phase and the ovulatory phase. She's like lifting heavier weights. We're focusing more on those goals. And then we go slowly into an offload where we're working more on mobility, more range of motion, time under tension, lighter weights. And then sometimes, like, if the period week is that bad, I just say don't go to the gym on your worst days.
Yeah.
Instead, work on like slowing down, maybe doing yoga at home, some mobility, but just like take care of yourself. It's not going to be the end of the world if you miss a couple of days on the worst day of your period. It's actually better for you if you recover. And it's totally dependent on how bad your periods are. Sometimes women don't have a hard time going to the gym, and sometimes women really do. So I think it's really dependent on the person, but the times change even just between
And
men and women.
yeah, no, and that makes sense. I just it's something that I've been listening to. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I'm very interested in how the human body works, and the other thing that we discussed, and that we can end on it here, is that we were talking about doing, like, I have high endurance, so it's hard for me to take rests between sets. And now I'm on a program where I'm taking 2 minute rests between sets. And it was a very difficult thing for me to do because I was just kind of sitting there at first, and I was like, well, I don't want to be one of those people that's like on their phones. Like, that's one of the most irritating things to me, is that when you see someone just sitting on a machine just on their phone. And I know, like, if you're just doing it within the 2 minute interval, like, who cares? But people don't do that. People will actually sit there on their phone for hours. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I spent 4 hours at the gym. 3 of those
On
hours you
one
were on your
machine.
phone, bro. Like, what are you talking about? But the thing is that I started with my 2 minute time off. I got a little notebook and I started researching the exercises that I'm doing. And then I started taking notes about what exactly they're doing inside my body, for my body, to benefit my body. And then if I run out of, like, the exercises that I'm doing that day, then I can either research other exercises. I can research what the food I'm putting into my body is doing that I eat on a daily basis. It's just you gotta adopt the mindset of being a forever student, a forever learner, because you're never gonna know it all. And I find that, and this is just me, I don't know, it might be other people too, but I find that the more that I learn about what these exercises are doing for my body, the easier it is for me to want to do the exercises. The same way as if I'm eating healthy, I'm eating a bunch of fruits and vegetables and just whole foods, and I start researching the nutritional aspect of these things and what they're doing for my body, it makes it a whole lot easier to actually want to eat the fruits and vegetables. Maybe not so much the fruits, because, like, I already like the fruits anyway, but it's like, okay, well, you got a candy bar right here and you got some fruits and you got some vegetables, or and you have to choose, you can only choose two of the things. It's like, okay, well, if I'm uneducated on what the fruits and vegetables are going to do for my body, it's just people tell you that they're good for you, but you don't know why. Like, what are they
You're
doing?
supposed to take it at face value
Yeah, and
when
then I'm
you
gonna
crave the other thing.
then I'm gonna take the candy bar, But I find that the more that I learn about stuff, especially the stuff that I'm putting into my body, then the better, like, the easier it is for me to actually put those things into my body. And it's the same as, like, you're not gonna put diesel gasoline in a non-diesel engine. You have to learn about the engine that you're driving. You're not going to put, like, 0-20 oil if your car takes, 10-40 or whatever.
That's like something that isn't talked about enough, honestly. Like that analogy is a really good one. Getting to know yourself, getting to know your body and its needs, it brings you into this whole new phase of life. Like, you become a different person when you understand yourself better.
It's
And I
crazy.
think, like, when you detach yourself from a vice, like, even if that vice is just a food, like, it's simply a trip to a fast food restaurant that you take every week, or eating something that you eat every day. For me, it was popcorn, and that's not even us, just air pop popcorn with grass-fed butter. It's not bad for you, but it
Yeah.
didn't work for me. So I considered it a vice because it was something that I had to eat every day to feel good about myself, because I was chronically ill and nothing felt good. So I thought at the beginning, like, that is going to be so hard to give up. But it was an attachment.
Yeah.
It was nothing but an attachment. It was doing nothing for me that was positive. And that's the same thing with being addicted to sugar. It's like you think that you're going to miss it long term, but when you know yourself, it takes the place of those foods. It's like you're not filling a void anymore. You understand yourself, and that is like super fulfilling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, the same way that you have to understand your car, because if you want to get your car to 200,000 miles or more, you gotta put the right oil in, you gotta put the right antifreeze in, you gotta put the reason why these things are formulated is because, obviously cars are a little bit a lot less complex than the human body, but different, each specific type of car has these different things that are formulated for that specific type of car. I'm driving my own body car, you're driving your own body car, and so is everybody else. And the formulated diet that works for me is not going to be the same formulated diet that works for you. Like, and it's not going to be the same formulated diet that works for somebody else. Like,
we all
specifically.
We all come with our own ownership manual, you know?
We just don't know how to read it.
Nobody knows. It's in a different language. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, so...
And sometimes the system that's meant to help you figure that stuff out, it's not super helpful. Like, the system for me wasn't super helpful, so I had to learn about myself through trial and error, and that's the only way you can do it, really. So the idea is just to be patient.
Yeah.
Because it is trial and error, and there's a lot of error that comes with that.
Yeah, and that's, again, part of the elimination diet. It's like, we can't just eliminate a food for a day and then just be like, oh, well, that didn't help. It's like, no, you want to give yourself a minimum of like 7 to 10 days that you're eliminating a food, and then you really see if it's really helping. Like, it's only been 3 days since I've eaten carrots or apples, and my stomach problems went away. So it's like, okay, well, that is a very clear sign that's because those are the two things that I was eating like every day, and that I was noticing stomach issues. It's like, okay, well, if I was still having stomach issues, then the next thing is I'm gonna eliminate mango, because I was pretty much eating mango every day, so it is, there's no one size fits all, and you just got to do whatever makes your body feel good, basically, and you gotta listen to it. But with that, I think we
are far out of time for the day. We almost went an hour and a half.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, it happens. But I guess the two things that we wanted to talk about, we kind of just very briefly touched on, which was coaching and NASM. So we can just plan to talk about those next week in a little bit more detail.
Going into the NASM program and
there's
the differences. And
then there's a nonprofit that you wanted to bring up as well. So we can discuss all that and in the next episode, and maybe we can reach out to the homie and see if he can see if we can get him on to join us somehow through Zoom or something. That is running this nonprofit. So
within the next couple of podcasts, we'll hook it up.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.